a screaming skull, a stone-faced pirate, a strange ghostly figure. You never know what curiosities will come up in your shovel. Sometimes you dig the strange. For 35 plus years, I've been hunting for artifacts, relics, treasures, and more. One of the things that has kept me going is never knowing what you'll find, because every shovelful is a new and exciting adventure. Sometimes what you find can just be a little bit unsettling. Even cute can seem weird when covered with dirt. Take Mickey Mouse, for example. My son David, his sister Stephanie, and I were on a weekend dig trip to the woods of Tawas, Michigan several years ago. We were each digging in a separate hole when David shouted out and held up something resembling a zombie mouse. In reality, it was an early 1930s bisque Mickey Mouse, so that find actually turned out rather cute. A find today, made by a railroad track, just seemed too weird, and honestly still does. I call it the Screaming Ghoul, but the rock could represent many, many other things. It is a smallish, dark gray and tan rock, and with its huge cranium, it could easily be the skull of a gray alien from Zeta Reticula. Where else? It also resembles something else, though not so frightening, and is a big icon of the holiday celebrated in mid-February. Yeah, you guessed it. It's none other than the Valentine's Day heart, and the opening in the rock looks just like a heart. Well, then, there's a pirate my good friend Gil Alberg dug up when exploring an old house tear out. And the pirate is made of lead, which is in a state of deterioration. It has a ghastly white and gray patina with traces of gold wash. His costume looks so authentic, very authentic. Perhaps the thing which is most unsettling is that he has a pink plastic face with the most sullen expression I've ever seen. He has no hands and no legs, but he has a truly eerie personification of the bizarre. He sort of looks a lot like Charles Lawton in the old movies. Most everyone knows that the Native American Indians had a host of spirits that they believed in. And I was recently going through a small bucket of stones. Again, Gil had given these to me. One caught my eyes. It was gray, with dark gray outline of a spirit with like an eerie glow around him. Could this perhaps be one of the Pukwudgies, that were little men of the forest that the Algonquin mythology speaks so much about, in this area, by the way? Anyways, the Pukwudgies played many mean tricks on those living in the virgin pine forests of what was prehistoric Michigan. But then it may be nothing more than a naturally formed image. There is one other I would like to tell you about, and I call it the Saginaw, Michigan Dragonstone. Though it is not really stone, it is a weird piece of metal, melted metal actually. I have often in the past walked the banks of the Saginaw River, and in one particular spot there are all kinds of broken glass and melted metal. You know how some people will find all kinds of familiar shapes in the clouds? Well, I sort of do that with the pieces of metal that I find, the melted metal anyways. In doing that, one humid and hot summer day a couple years ago, I spotted, for all intents and purposes, what looked like a dragon laying on the sand. A fierce dragon, ready to blast me with his fiery breath. The fact is, though, that there are many, many awesome things to be found right under our feet, or just down the path you've taken. So keep your eyes open and looking down, so you don't miss any of the exciting finds. I want to tell you about one more. Well, actually, two. This was when I was living up in Greenbush. I had a dig site that I go to often in Harrisville. It was on Swamp Road. Found a lot of wonderful things there. But in digging one day, I found a unique-looking greenstone, and it had the shape of a foot with the toes curled upward. Well, it just so happened that I had just written an article prior to finding that about Mashinitu, an evil spirit, and what happened to Mashinitu's foot. Finding that particular stone then rather gave me chills, because Mashinitu's foot was lost in that area, actually. But there was this stone that I found that looked, for all intents and purposes, like it could have been Mashinitu's foot. I don't know what happened to that over the years, but through my divorce, it was lost. And then one other thing, and this wasn't necessarily found, it was found with the camera. Again, at that same place on Swamp Road, there's a swamp. It's a beautiful place. There are old stumps that the water cascades through and stuff, and it's just really, really beautiful. And I was taking photographs one day along there. This was, my gosh, this was back around 1990, 91. But anyways, when I got the pictures back from the developer, because we didn't have digital cameras yet then, at least I didn't, I was shocked because in one of the pictures, the roots that I didn't see when I took it so perfectly formed what looked like a mountain lion or panther. Mishipishu, the Algonquin Indians believed was a great panther that lived beneath the waters of the Great Lakes, and with its magnificently huge tail caused the frequent storms that came up on the lake, some quite devastating, as we know in modern times too, with the Edmund Fitzgeralds and multitudes of others. Was it Mishipishu's image? Well, probably not. But it was fun to imagine that it could be. And by golly, it looked like it. Well, again, keep your eyes trained to the ground as you're walking, but don't fall or run into anything. But you never know what you're going to find, what lies in your path. Thanks for listening. God bless. Bye.